Welcome to another episode of the Overcoming Adversity podcast. I'm your host, Michael Allison. Today's guest is Sabrina Oso. She's the founder and CEO of Oso Safe, where she wants you to feel safe in your home, at your job, and also where your kids play. Hey, Sabrina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. So, Sabrina, as we were saying before we got on camera, I think the company that you created is an interesting but fascinating company that you created. But I can only imagine that it stemmed for some passion or some reason for you even to come up with that thought and that creative idea. Can you tell us some more about yourself and like why you came up with this company?
Sure, sure. Thank you so much for having us on your show. It's a great pleasure, and I'm so happy to be here. Uh, as you stated, as we talked about, too many of us have this common thread of living or surviving some form of abuse or violence, chaos, dysfunction. I'm definitely one of them. My father beat my mother on a regular basis, and my mother would beat me. So I know firsthand how traumatic that is, how terrorizing that is. I started dancing late, and dancing is my passion. And I incorporate a lot of dance in my company. I use it in different, as a tool, if you will, but it's in my DNA. Uh, Oso Safe started out as a one-woman show that I wrote, choreographed, and performed a number of years ago. And the name of the show was Home Sweet, I'm sorry, Home Sweet Home question mark. And I play different women being abused. She goes to her good place. That's where the dancing comes in. But then she's pulled back into the terror of violence, abuse. And the show ended really strong, really empowering. I did a lot of research for the show. And Michael, I couldn't believe the statistics that I was finding. So I said to myself, I need to make this into a business, a bona fide business with products and services that could really help people and make an impact, especially children. I want to say we're not a nonprofit. We're not a charity. We're a bona fide business with products and services. We respect all of the nonprofits that deal with domestic violence. We don't even like to call it domestic violence. We prefer home violence because it's more inclusive. Um, but we feel that this huge problem of violence, abuse, chaos, dysfunction in homes, it cannot be resolved as a charity, as a nonprofit. People need to pay for the service so that way it actually gets resolved and it's taken seriously. So that's a synopsis. I'm sorry, sometimes I go off on a tangent, but just to answer the question, I hope I did.
No, you did. I think it's truly groundbreaking. If you could talk a little bit about growing up in a household and experiencing that, and you decided to put it in a art. Can you talk a little bit about what was that like for you in regards to your mental state of mind, and for you to say, I'm going to transfer this energy or this treatment into that?
It was very healing, I have to say, and it's still healing. And I noticed that, especially with students, with children of all ages, even if it's such a heavy subject, a taboo subject, but it's more palatable when you bring the performing arts into it, whether it be dance, especially dance, but acting or singing, and I combine dancing and acting. So it's very healing. And as I was writing my one woman show, I just thought it was I was releasing a lot of pain, and I felt like this could be very helpful to anyone in my audience. And I've had people come up to me like, "Wow, that's how I feel," or "How did you know?" or "Wow, you just played my mother or my father." And that makes me feel so good because it means that I'm doing something right and I'm really connecting with the students or adults for that matter, teachers, it could be in the workplace, it could be definitely at home. I mean, the root of everything we feel at Oso Safe starts in the home. And we could talk more about that later on in the interview. But in a word, it's very healing, and it continues to this day.
So for our listeners that's listening, right, and they may have been in that situation or they know of someone that's in that situation, you decided to turn that into art. How can someone that may be facing abuse right now or is dealing with that, what would be the approach for them to even address that issue to get out of a certain situation? Because realistically, this goes on every single day in America and the United States. I'm pretty sure, obviously, in other countries, but I know that this goes on within the United States. How do we attack this? How do we address this issue when someone is actually facing some things like this now?
Just to give you some statistics, 1 out of 3 women will be beaten or raped in a lifetime. 1 out of 5 adolescent girls is abused by her boyfriend. 1 out of 7 men is abused. 15 million children witness violence in their own homes each and every year. That's just in the US alone, just the ones that we know about. About 324,000 pregnant women go into the emergency room, not for pregnant related issues, but for abuse related injuries. I could go on and on with statistics. One very compelling one for us at Oso Safe, because the focus is real estate and children. 5 children a day are killed in this country alone due to abuse. And more often than not, a child protective service agency is involved. So they are not helpful, I have to say. The
Mhm.
government, the laws, the courts, the judges, it's horrific. So I want to say to anyone, to people that are going through, your listeners, if they are going through abuse, right off the bat, you're not alone. It's not your fault, and we're working as fast as we can at Oso Safe to make things better, to improve the situation. Not only improve it, but to even prevent it from happening. And the focus is, don't you leave. You stay right where you are. It's the abuser that has to go. And we at Oso Safe, we created a product. Our core product is the Oso Safe certification for properties. This is where the homeowner purchases the Oso Safe Home Sweet Home package. It consists of a policy, a seminar, an app, and therapists assigned to the property. So just to give a brief description of all those 4 components, the policy basically states, I, as a property owner, a landlord, I promise to provide you a safe space for you to live. You, in turn, as my tenant or resident, you promise to not act in any way, shape, or form abusively. Otherwise, you, the abuser, only gets immediately evicted from the premises, and we go into full knowledge knowing that that would be the consequences. Also, in the policy, it states you're not going to abuse your children, and we're going to know if they are abused, because in an Oso Safe certified property, children have voice, they have choice. We do not wait until they're 18 years old for them to have agency over their lives. It's ridiculous to wait that long. Children know who makes them feel safe, who respects them, who makes them feel empowered. So that's all in the policy. The second component is the seminar. It's the Oso Safe Home Sweet Home seminar. Everybody gets educated, Michael, on facts, statistics, warning signs, definitions of abuse, the difference between abuse and discipline, what constitutes a good relationship, what are the warning signs of a bad relationship. Both adults and children get educated. That's all in the seminar. The third component is an app that I hired a software company, and it detects the app violent like movement. So it eliminates the he said, she said factor. So let's say a landlord has 10 units. Wow, I just got an alert that you just beat the crap out of her in my unit 2, and you just beat the crap out of him in my unit 10. You're evicted. You knew that this was going to happen. In an Oso Safe certified property, you're held to a higher regard, a higher standard. We do not tolerate abuse in any way, shape, or form, not verbally, not physically, not sexually. That's the app, and it's being modified, it's being improved upon right now. But this is the third component of the certification, if you will. And the fourth and final component are therapists assigned to the property. You are required as a resident to check in with your therapist once a month. Is everything okay? Do you feel like anything is looming? Well, actually, Mr. and Miss Therapist, our kid came home with bad grades. We don't know how to handle this. We know that we're not going to beat him or her. We're not going to punish them, but we really don't know how to maneuver. So can you help us maneuver in the situation? You know, the child is failing all sorts of subjects. So all of these components working together makes for a safe property, a safe residency, an Oso safe residency. And this is preventative versus waiting for an episode of violence to occur. Then police come, bad news travels fast, and everybody's living is living in fear and worry. We nip it in the bud, so to speak, beforehand. And if and when abuse happens, we have mechanisms and systems in place to really um, diminish that quickly and effectively. Our logo gets placed outside of the property, so that way any pedestrian or driving traffic, they see the logo, they're like, wow, I know what that means. I would rather live in an Oso Safe certified property versus one that isn't, because they actually they create and maintain respect in homes, and workplaces and schools, but mainly homes. So I hope I answered the question. It's a different approach. We feel that it's a very avant-garde approach, but it's how residency should be, your home, if you will.
I love the approach of being on the offense opposed to being on the defense because, like you stated, this is going on every single day in America. So to put yourself in that position where you're now saving lives and helping people, I think is magnificent. I wanted to touch on something here. Did you identify partnering with schools and within the community where the houses are at, where you know that these kids are going to identify some of these issues? And I ask you that as in, when you were going to school, did you identify that if a teacher was here to help me, if a counselor was able to help me or pull me to the side, some of these things could have been prevented?
Excellent question. I know growing up for me, no one came to my rescue. No one. Because, first of all, I never really said anything. But on top of that, so much was happening in my home that, and people knew, teachers knew, um, and they did nothing. And unfortunately, today, I mean, they'll call Child Protective Services, but I have to say that agency does a lot more harm than good. And they there's more awareness today. There's definitely more awareness than when I was growing up, but the problems are still there. Where, if anything, the abused child is not allowed to speak out. And we are saying at Oso Safe, we are giving them the platform through our YouTube channel and our TikTok. We know that it's scary, kids. We know that it is, you're scared, you're threatened at home. If dad beat up mom or mom beat up dad or you're getting beat up, and we talk about sex abuse openly. Because let's face it, I get comments like, you shouldn't be talking about that. This is a very sensitive subject and it's mostly adults. And I respond, if it's sensitive for you, imagine the child going through this,
Hmm.
and and they have to go home to war. It's not home, it's war.
Right.
And maybe they have to lock themselves in their room. They have the weight of the world on them. So we focus on empowering children because I have to say, the schools, they cater to the abusive parents, abusive step parents. They cater to all parents, including the abusive ones. Um, the the town, the politicians, um, the laws, the courts, the judges, they're on the side of the parent, carte blanche, and they're abusive, and it doesn't matter. So we are working very hard and very um, quickly, as efficiently as possible, to flip the script, if you will. Let's empower the children. The children are the ones that are suffering the most. They are the most disenfranchised group of human beings on the planet. I mean, even pets almost have more rights than children. You got PETA, you got what is it? ASPA. The acronym slips my mind right now, but all of these organizations that give voice to pets, and I'm so glad. But children, I feel like they are shut down, shut up. They are told to not speak out, and we're doing the exact opposite. In fact, we are saying to children, if you are not safe at home, don't go home. Stay at school. And if you have someone that's willing to take you in, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a close family friend, speak out, kids. We know that it's scary. The more you get beaten, the louder you have to get. Because the agencies that are set up to help them, they do the reverse. They cater to the abusive parents, the abusive step parents, the abusive family members. So we are encouraging children, don't go home, stay at school and say your cheer. I want to live where I am also safe, and I am also safe with, and you fill in the blank, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a close family friend, and keep saying it. Keep speaking out until it becomes true, until you see that aunt, uncle, grandparent, close family friend that's that you know is going to accept you and take you in, and speak out, kids. So that is what we are encouraging and what we are focusing on, is the kids that are abused.
I have,
I hope I answered the question.
you did. I have two follow up questions, and the first one is: does your organization have any any mechanism in place for like an external contributing factors for the kids? And I say that as in, if something is going on at the school, let's say it's bullying or it's hazing or anything like that, and it comes into the household and they're not talking about it. That's question number one. And number two is, for the app that you guys created, for what you just last mentioned, is there something within the app for the child to report or say something? Hey, I don't feel safe. This is going on. I need help.
Excellent questions. Your first question, just so I understand it right, like if there's, like you said, bullying, hazing, any physical altercation or verbal altercation at school, how is it handled at home? Is that what you're asking?
Right. So if the, let's say a child is acting up because of some external contributing factors, and now it's affecting them emotionally, mentally within the household, and then now it leads to something else, right, within the household, and they're not talking about it. Is there a way for that to be tracked, or I guess measured in regards to like knowing the healthy space or healthy mindset of the kid in regards to why they may have be in an abusive space, or maybe why they're shutting down or anything like that?
Yes, the one has everything to do with the other.
Okay.
So and we say at Oso Safe, if your home is safe, then everything else will be safe. Schools, workplaces, movie theaters, public places, concerts. it all starts in the home. So, and it's not enough that you raise your child to be respectful and empowered and encouraged. It's the child that they're sitting next to. I mean, school shooters, they're all school shooters. If you trace back their home life, they're abused.
Mhm.
They're living in hell. They are living with violence, abuse, chaos, dysfunction. But so because their home is so dysfunctional, and they think that I need to feel powerful. And they're going about it the wrong way. They get access to a gun, they obtain access to a gun, whether it be in that very home or they purchase one somewhere, and then they shoot up the school
Mhm.
with killing students, killing teachers, staff. So one has everything to do with the other. So if the child is experiencing bullying, but their home is safe, well, it's because that student is being abused at home, like the student that's doing it to them.
Right, right.
They're being bullied. There's a reason for that. So, and then the child, if you're raising that child well, they'll have enough confidence to say, this is not my fault. This is being done to me. It's my peer that's doing this. And if they have a good home environment, well, there are solutions. Look, we need to speak to the teacher. I'm not going to pull my kid out of this school. My child is doing well at school, but because they're being bullied, the grades are affected. They don't want to go to that activity. Make the school responsible. Teachers need to not be silent. They need to make respect part of their curriculum. If you're teaching algebra, if you're teaching anatomy, if you're teaching language arts, if you're teaching gym, incorporate respect in your curriculum at the beginning of class, in the middle of class, and at the end of class. Talk about bullying. Hey, look, I saw something in the lunchroom and this is not tolerated. Some of you are bullying, and if you need to talk to me that your home is not safe, you can come and talk to me about it. I can relate. I also lived in an unsafe environment. Make the connection with your students. Don't be robotic. Okay, open up your books and let's open up our screens to this. Kids go home to hell. So they're not going to be able to concentrate until you address the problem
Mhm.
and make it comfortable for them. Make it where I understand. Even if you even don't know what to say as a teacher, just you saying, I'm here for you, even if I don't understand everything that you're going through, I am going to listen to you. You're always going to have my respect. And I want to be here for you if at home no one is there for you. Um, so it all goes hand in hand. Whatever's going on at school is going on at home. Whatever's going on at home is going on at school. And I want to say that our workshops, our Oso Safe workshops, makes that connection where we get hired at a school and we talk about it openly. The home and school, school and home. There's no separation. And parents need to be held accountable. We need to have these conversations where, look, what is happening at home? Is there any verbal, physical, sexual abuse? And we do make that easier for schools and the home, where we make that connection, because that is like the ABCs of being a student, of being a parent, being a teacher, if you will. So I hope I answered the first question.
Yeah, yeah, you did.
The second question with the app, in fact, what you mentioned about the child being able to call for help or get help, it is one of the modifications that we're making to the app. So yes, we are definitely child oriented. We empower all children of all ages. I want to say from, I know it sounds strange, but from 0 to high school, 18 years old, right?
Mhm.
Because that is the, you're considered a child. You're in your elementary years and school. So the app is we combine education and technology to create and maintain respect. And the focus is in homes and schools, being a part of that, but empowering children, giving them voice, because they are the ones suffering the most. And I should know I was one of them.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about the concept of real estate. Can you share with our listeners, how did the concept of real estate and having properties and landlord and creating a space where it's dedicated for your company and your business to serve these certain types of people that has to agree to be in a safe space, and they're going to treat everyone with respect?
Yes. Uh, I thought long and hard about the problem of violence, abuse, chaos, dysfunction, and I'm a real estate agent, so I have a lot of resources and a lot of connections in the real estate industry, and I'm using them to my advantage, my
Right.
fullest advantage, from speaking to other brokers. And I'm a member of the New Jersey Association of Realtors, as well as the National Association of Realtors, NJAR and NAR. And I'm speaking to people of influence to look at my company and what we are offering, and that real estate is where it's at. Because whether you live in a townhouse, a co-op, a condo, a single family home, a multi-family dwelling, a two-family home, a villa, a mansion, a mobile home, a dormitory, a senior community, respect has to be there. And there should be no violence, no abuse, no chaos, no dysfunction. So if we make this a part of our contracts, an addendum to existing contracts, and everybody gets educated, and there's technology included and therapy built into the certification, well, that is a formula for, or steps in the right direction for residency. When you put that key in your lock, you should feel like it's your sanctuary. You should feel like you can exhale and, okay, I'm at peace. But unfortunately, for too many of us, when you put that key in the lock, you're gearing up for a battle, war. Children are scared of their parents. You don't know what's going to happen. Is dad going to beat up mom, or mom beat up dad? Or am I going to get beat up? Is my dad, or mom for that matter, going to enter my room tonight and ask me to pull my underwear down? I mean, this is a reality for too many. Just one, let alone many, many children, unfortunately. So I said to myself, why not make residency, your home, respect part of, not part, like the foundation of all residency, respect. So that's why my business tagline is creating and maintaining respect in homes. So and I feel like people, that should be basic. You could have the hot water and the heat running well, and the window guards in your property, and everything up to code, and concierge if you're living in a big multifamily dwelling, and the foundation is strong, and that's great. But what about safety in terms of respect, where there's no violence? So we feel, I'd also say, we took it to the next level, but it's actually it's more basic than heat, hot water, central air. What about safety, where no one is beating anyone up, where there's no one is being called a brat, a monster, a prissy little bitch, you're ungrateful, you're a baby, you're a drama queen, which so many children are called by their parents, their step parents. Um, uh, Pornography is a big driver of violence. And we make this a big part of our education at Oso Safe, um, because there are people, uh, it's a branch of pornography called BDSM, that stands for bondage, domination, sadism, and masochism. And for the most part, these are women doing the abusing. And these women are in our neighborhoods, our communities, our um, right in our PTA. They could be next door, they could be across the street, and they fly under the radar, Michael, because no one's really talking about it. Because with pornography and sex trafficking, a lot of people think that it's men, right?
Right.
Men doing this. And yes, that's true. But there are plenty of women also doing the sex trafficking, the raping, and BDSMers, for the most part, are women. They are doing the sex trafficking and sex abusing, and they rope submissive men, and they get into relationships, and then they have children of their own, and it's a recipe for disaster. And they are masters at manipulating, dominating, controlling. So I've been making it a point to say this on all my interviews, anytime that I'm interviewed, because so many people don't know. And like I said, they fly under the radar. And pornography, I'm so glad there's so much more awareness about it, and even celebrities coming out and saying, pornography has ruined my life, or they thought that, wow, that's what they thought a healthy sexual relationship was, and it isn't at all. And we're not talking about erotica. Erotica is uh it's no domination, no manipulation, but pornography is all about domination, manipulation, control. So they're very different, and children are exposed. I mean, I believe there's a statistic that children, both boys and girls, have seen a pornographic video or pornography themed video or image by the time they're 8, 10 years old. So, and a lot of schools, either they don't talk about it, or they're encouraged by the outside organizations that they hire to educate about sex education, and they're told, well, pornography is a part of life, or it's a healthy way to express your sexual, to experiment. And I'm here to say nothing could be further from the truth.
Right.
Erotica is healthy sexual relationships, but pornography, BDSM, you are basically teaching your children to become future victims and future abusers, and to get into those types of relationships where they get involved with someone that is beating them. And this goes for male and female, someone that is sexually abusing them, or someone that is pimping them out to their friends. And I say this for both male and female. um, yeah, so it all needs to be talked about and connected. We need to connect the dots for the sake of our children, the protection of our children, their safety, their well-deserved respect.
I think a lot of times people that are in positions like that, they f- they feel like they're in a position where they're untouchable, but then they're in positions where they find loopholes and things like that to exploit those things as well. I was going to touch on something and ask you, when someone enters into one of your properties, what is like the criteria in regards for them to be in that those homes, so you know that you're getting a safe person into this whole household before, even if when they're going to sign all of the contracts to agree to what you guys are asking them to do.
Yes, we are very upfront with the real estate agents and the any prospects, if you will, for the property. So we're very open. Look, this is how this is what is expected of you if you want to live here. You don't have to live here. This is by choice. If you don't want to live in an Oso Safe certified property, that's up to you. But the goal for Oso Safe is to make every single property Oso Safe certified, because then you are truly creating and maintaining respect in all homes. And that is the goal. So it is by choice. And we say, this is the policy, this is the seminar. Your children will have a voice, they will have a choice. And we ask children, how is your home life? And we realize the children can lie, right? They're
All
scared.
right.
They're not going to go against mom and dad. We realize that. But Michael, I can tell you from personal and professional experience, abusers can only put their poker face on for so long, because sooner than later, their true colors do come out. Whether it be verbal, physical, sexual abuse, it could be maybe they have their poker face on for a couple of months, a couple of weeks, a couple of days, but sure enough, their true colors come out. And you could see it in the children's face, in their body language. They're terrified. They are terrified, petrified of their parents, whoever's abusing them. It could be mom, dad, stepmom, stepdad, whoever it is. Um, so we have the app, we have the therapist assigned to the property. We're very open about it. We don't hide. We don't say, like, we don't trick them into entering the property. Okay, everybody signed, and then disclose, okay, well, this is what is expected of you. Not at all. We say it at the open houses. We say it right, like I said, with the real estate agents. It's all uh we're very open about it
Well, up front,
right from the
right,
start.
there's no smoke screen or anything like that.
Right,
I
right.
wanted to ask, if you can you share a story or success story, if you may, of maybe someone that was being abused or was in a situation, and how Oso Safe saved their life?
Yes, well, I have to say I have a lot of children in my life that uh it makes me feel so good that I'm getting so much positive feedback from them. I think that's the biggest reward. I have adults that come up to me and say, "Wow, what you're doing is so great. I've never I've never heard it approached this way, or like even by design, like how I organized those so safe." I'm getting a lot of positive feedback, but it's more the children that I'm getting such, how do I say, they feel like they're having voice and they have choice. Like this is a whole new concept for them. So they're talking about Oso Safe at school. They are they're creating my logo on their own work, like homework, and they're just writing it like whatever age they are, they're creating the logo, they're talking about it. They're getting on my website and on the YouTube and on the TikTok. I'm getting such positive feedback, and that makes me feel so great, and it's telling me that I'm on the right track. And I wanted to mention, I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from my book, my children's book, because the book is a staple for all residency. We use the book to kind of lay the groundwork for adults and children, but mainly children, to say, look, you have voice in an Oso Safe certified property. We get the children. Uh, um, we do the education, both adults and children. Then we separate them. We get the children in one room and the adults in another room, and we educate them. We read the book to them, and we say, look, you have voice in an Oso Safe certified property. You can speak out. It's whenever you're ready, kids, whenever you're ready. We address them as Oso Safe kids, whether they're safe at home or not safe at home. We're very inclusive. And we say, if you're not ready to say right now, that's okay. We meet them where they're at, because like they start to think about, wow, dad just beat up mom, or mom beat me up, and they're scared. But then they start to think, maybe I can speak up, and maybe I should speak up. And it's about repetition, and it's a practice, Michael. It's a practice. We know that change doesn't happen
Right.
overnight. We have to practice it. We have to do it over and over again until you get the courage to say, you know what, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I'm going to speak out. So this is all, one feeds into the other. And it's very important for us at Oso Safe that children become empowered, and that those statistics that I just mentioned get down to zero, because that's how it should be. That's how it should be. Because I want to say, I value the parents that are doing it right, and there are so many of them that respect their kids. I mean, I love seeing the websites like Parents Together, um, Positive Parenting Solutions, Go Zen Love, The Tired Dad. There's so many of them that are doing it right, and they're showing, this is what I do with my kid. I don't attack them, and I don't berate them, and I'm not abusive towards them. I give them space. Okay, they don't want to talk to me right now. I give them space, and I tell them I love them. Whenever they're ready, I'm here for them. That's good parenting. That's respectful parenting. And that child is not going to grow up to shoot up a school or continue the cycle of violence. They're going to say, wow, my dad and mom treated me with respect. I'm going to make sure that I date someone that is like my mom and dad, because that's what I deserve, and I want that for myself, and I want that for my future children, and that's how it should be, for crying out loud. Um, there is no place for abuse, and we will see to it we're working as fast as we can to make children safe at home, all children, and to practice this, to make this a norm, because that's how it should be, adults and children alike, but especially children.
Absolutely. Well, Sabrina, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. As we get ready to wrap up, can you tell us what are some future things that you have coming up for Oso Safe?
Yes, like I mentioned, we're improving the app, and I know I'm going to launch it, so that'll be an announcement. Hopefully more in the near future than the farther future. These things take time and money and patience. But we are speaking to mortgage companies and insurance companies to make Oso Safe Oso Safe even stronger, and more of an incentive for landlords and property owners, where they should be rewarded if they get their property Oso Safe certified, where their insurance rates will go down and their property values will go up, because they're taking steps by making their properties Oso Safe certified to create safety and maintain respect in their homes, in their whatever their residency is, multifamily dwellings or two-family home, whatever it is. um, and we also were hoping to have hospitals especially the where they give birth, for parents, where they get Oso Safe certified before taking the baby home. We're working on that to speak to hospitals, to speak to um, the birth, in NICU departments of the hospitals, because what's the point of bringing that baby home if that baby is going to be abused?
Right.
So to educate the parents to be, both the mothers and the fathers, by the way, not just the mothers and the fathers. So these are some of the projects that we're working on.
Wow, that's excellent, man. I love the initiatives that of what you got going on. So my last question for you, for the listeners that's listening and they've heard your story and they heard the mission that you're on, and I hear the passion already in your voice for what that you love what you do. Can you leave us with some words of enthusiasm or some lessons learned from your life and from your story, some of the things that you've experienced, and they could walk away and they could start making some changes in their lives from your story?
Yes. Well, just some takeaways, just to review some of them. I mentioned, do not show pornography to your children. And I know that sounds weird, but there are parents that think that showing pornography to their children is sex education. It is not. To also make them aware that those are not normal relationships and that they deserve better than that. They deserve respect in their relationships. Do not call girls, women, bitches, sluts, whores, tramps, sleazes, floozies, bimbos, dots, skanks, and all the other lovely titles that are given to us. That breeds violence against girls, against women, females. Um, Men, boys, you deserve respect. You don't deserve to be in any abusive relationship. Stay away from BDSMers. Your life will never be the same again. Do not allow yourselves to be involved with anyone that does pornography, BDSM work. Um, you are harming yourselves and your children. Do not fight in front of your children. Find ways to, well, always have respect. That has to be the main ingredient in any household. But when you fight with your spouse, and we're not saying you're never going to fight, but it has to be done with respect. Disagreements, arguments, always have respect on the forefront. So those are just some quick tips, but I want to say, with just some phrases that we implement and practice at Oso Safe. You have the right to be safe in your home. Just because you are a parent, it doesn't give you the right to abuse your child. And that this is a practice. We have to practice all of these things: respect, safety, empowerment, encouragement, positivity. So I would say end with that.
Well, Sabrina, thank you so much for being a guest. How can folks get a hold of you? How could they reach you if they wanted to work with you or know more about Oso Safe?
Yes, the website, which I saw that you've been streaming, you're so good, is ososafe.com. We're on all the major social media platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. And we started, as I mentioned, well, it's been a year or two, TikTok, Oso Safe Kids, and YouTube. But just Google Sabrina Oso or Oso Safe Kids, and we give voice and choice to children of all ages on those two platforms.
Absolutely. Well, Sabrina, it's been a pleasure to hear your story. I love the fact that you are now helping the voiceless out there, because there's so many people that are in so many horrible situations. And for you to be a beacon, to be leading that charge and spearheading that, I applaud you for doing that. Thank you so much for being a guest on Overcoming Diversity podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was so great.
Absolutely. Until next time, guys, God bless.
Can't complain at all. Couple dollars in my pocket, know it come and go. Been working on my body, getting healthier. Thank God for clarity.